If you do radio, don't shoot low for it. Invest into it. Get a good schedule. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a little bit of time to get results. I lose sleep at night if my clients aren't getting what they need, especially if they're spending their hard-earned dollars. I'm really getting down to the nitty-gritty with people I work with to make sure that we implement plans for success.
Welcome to Bottled Up. I'm your host, Andrew Allen. And on this episode, I'm talking with Stephen Stiglets of the local radio stations Kicker108, Coast 102, and many more. Stephen is the fourth generation to work at Coast Radio Group, and I'm excited to hear his story and learn about the power of local radio. We discuss the advantages of being a local radio station in the Mississippi Gulf Coast area and why our market prefers local radio over streaming services. He shares his experience in sales, starting from the bottom, and how he transitioned from mowing the grass to the sales department to currently an executive position at the Coast Radio Group. He also gives us some pro radio advertising tips to get the most out of your local marketing budget. So grab a Pepsi, turn up the volume, and join me in this conversation with Stephen Stiglets. So today we have Stephen Stiglets on the podcast. Stephen, thank you for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Andrew.
So, Stephen, you are the sales manager of your family-owned radio group. Can you give me a little bit of insight on how long you guys have been locally owned here in Gulfport?
So I'm the fourth generation of our company. My great-grandfather, Charlie, was a Georgia native and moved here in the mid-50s. I think he was in a band, and I think his wife kind of put him under the guillotine and said, like, either you're going to go, big time with this band, or you need to get out of it and start making some money. And so he decided to start some radio stations. And so the first radio station, which we still have today, was purchased in 1959. And his son, my grandfather, Morgan, who is still alive, has grown that from a single station to now we own, I think, 26. 7 are local, and then we have some other ones in smaller towns.
I didn't know that.
Across the Southeast. Yeah. So, it's about 60 years of history into that.
That's awesome. So, Stephen, being fourth generation, being locally owned, growing up, as I would imagine, growing up the way that family businesses are in the area that we live in, you probably were at the station a lot as a child and probably worked there when you were a kid. If I'm correct, if I can speak for myself and my history, I imagine that was pretty much how you were as well, right?
Yeah, I always thought of it just this great big thing, and I was just excited to be around it. Growing up in a radio world, you see some of the talent that we have as celebrities, and all of our talent is local and live, and they live here. So getting to tell all my friends back in the day, oh yeah, I know Brian and Mama, and I know Super Dave. It was pretty cool. I was around radio at a young age, for sure. My brother, who he works with us now too, he's our engineer. He got on the radio a few times and did all that stuff. I never really did that. I mowed the grass here. So I guess I could have called myself a Coast Radio Group employee.
Yes, no, that counts, man. That counts. Yeah. That's about one step above what I did when I started over here. So yeah, I was basically in charge. How old were you when you started mowing the grass and stuff like that?
Probably 13. I would have a mower out here, probably 13.
Yeah, 12, 13. That's where I was at. Sweeping up, cleaning, very highly unskilled labor positions, just to kind of so your parents can keep tabs on you while they work.
Right.
Well, so whenever you were coming up and whenever you were kind of being surrounded by this world of radio, did you always envision yourself to be like, this is where I'm going to make my career? Did you feel a level of loyalty or importance to kind of continue on the legacy? Was there any kind of pressure in your mind about doing that?
To be honest, from my perspective, I did not think about it a ton early on. I think that was always something that was kind of in the back of my grandfather's mind.
Right.
Obviously, me being fourth between my grandfather, my mom also does work with us, and she kind of coordinates and runs everything. But I did not necessarily see myself carrying on the torch while I was in college, at least. I actually had a real interest in cybersecurity.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and switched up. But I worked at a golf course through college, and I found that one day I was just like, I want to try something new. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was very introverted growing up and in college. I had a small group of friends, and I decided I would ask to do sales one day. And so I turned into sales, and it's challenged me to be extroverted and, to be able to go out and meet people such as yourself and Brooke. And, I've had to, I probably have met 150, 200, 250 business owners from around here. And it's cool to be able to, learn about the stuff they apply and,
Right.
how they've built their successes, and also to be able to market for them and help better their business.
Well, I think that's very interesting to me that someone who was introverted, didn't want to get in the business. Was there a turning point in your life where did you think that it would be a temporary thing? Like, I'm going to come back, I'll go work at the radio group until I find what I want to do. And then you kind of get in there and it gets in your blood. And then 3 years go by and you look and you're like, well, I'm in this now. And, was it one of those things, or did you make the decision in your head, like, all right, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to make an effort to get better at this. And, being a fourth generation is important as well. But, you decided that this is my career.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with how you illustrated that. It was like, I got in here, I wanted to challenge myself in sales, which is very challenging.
Yes.
But I got in here, I learned a little bit about the business. I had some doubts about the business coming in, and, through learning the first year and a half, 2 years of this about I learned how effective radio actually is in marketing, and learn the importance of what we do, and, just the ins and outs of the business, more than just cutting the grass, I would say. And then it kind of led me to, more being aligned with taking the torch and carrying it on and evolving the company to better perform. I was very lucky, like you, to come into a business where the path has been paved and I'm just here fixing the cracks. I'm restructuring it, re-strengthening it where I can.
Yep.
And learn to evolve.
Fresh set of eyes, Stephen, with a young brain, and you kind of know, you can see where the deficiencies are. You can see where you can see where the strengths are as well. And you always got to keep that in the back of your head as well. But yeah, I think that I was the same way, especially coming into what we're doing and taking over, so you are a sales manager now. That means that you're in charge of the sales division of Coast Radio Group. So what were some of the biggest changes you think you made coming in, and why do you think you had to make those, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, so I was a sales executive for probably about the first 4.5 years of me working here. My grandfather was always a big believer in starting from the bottom and going up. And, that way I can look at it in retrospect and say, I've been there, if they're having challenges or anything else like that. But, just as far as what we've changed since I've been into management, we implemented 2 HD radio stations, which are the first that this market has. And it's not necessarily a new technology, but it's a brand new technology to the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Okay. And that's a big deal.
Yeah. And it's allowed us to compete in some genres of music that we have previously not done. But, from a management perspective, I just like a good atmosphere. And that's something that previously maybe we didn't have. And me coming into this, I like everybody to have a good time. Obviously get work done, have success, but have fun while doing it.
Yeah, I get that completely. That's kind of, if you're doing your work and you're still having a good time, it doesn't feel like you're working.
Absolutely.
I totally understand that mindset. And I imagine you probably have the same situation that I have over here, where I have people who have worked in the beverage business for decades. And, there's not a lot of instruction that needs to be done from me to them. I don't have to micromanage a guy who's been in the beverage business for 35 years. You know exactly. What I mean? Yes. I have to kind of, say, hey, listen, we need to check this, and kind of point him in the directions of the hot spots that need to be handled. But other than that, I don't think that I should be looking over his shoulder, telling him how to manage his people. You know what I mean?
Oh, amen. Yeah. And I've been blessed that, three of our salespeople that were previously here before my taking over, they, are very driven and work very hard. I never have to worry about them. They get it done. They're very successful. And since I've taken over, we've added 2 new sales reps to the team, and they are just go-getters. So it's great when you have a team that you don't have to worry about,
Yes.
you kind of just set the expectations and they rock and roll and make it happen.
Yeah, that's how we are over here as well. I mean, in a lot of these guys, the mindset that your grandfather had, start from the bottom, work your way up. That's exactly how I lived. I was helpers on trucks. I've done it. I've done everything. I think the only thing I did not do is I worked in the warehouse, but I didn't work at night. That was the only job I haven't done was night warehouse crew. I did day warehouse crew, which at this time of the season and the 99 and 100-degree weather, I probably would have rather have worked at night. But
I can understand that.
Yeah, but it's very important that your granddad had that mindset, because a lot of times when people are family members and they want to come into the business, it's because it's safe, and it's because they know that they kind of already have a little bit of a leg up and an advantage when people have already worked there for decades. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And if you are putting in the grunt work and you're going out and doing the things that need to be done, and you are having those hard sales pitches, and you're having to cold call on people and make yourself uncomfortable and get in front of them and work that sales muscle, which is a muscle, by the way. Like you said, people don't just go out and start selling well. I mean, you might have someone who has charisma, who has natural gifts of gab, who can make people like them quickly. But unless you have that razor's edge in the back of your head on like reading people, knowing what to say, when to say, identifying what people are needing from, you as a provider.
Absolutely.
That's done through muscle, time and time again. That's just flexing that muscle and
repetition.
Absolutely. And the fact that your granddad knew enough to do that, that's where you start to gain respect from the people who work for you, because they know that you've been out there and done it. And a lot of times you're working with them and doing it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the greatest leaders that I ever knew, or he was a coach for me playing baseball in college, and he was great at what he did because he led, I remember a quote, I can't remember word for word, but basically the best type of general leads by example. He gets out there and does what needs to be done. And so, being able to apply that into my work atmosphere now, I've been there. I continue to do that. I come and hang out with you guys every once in a while.
Yes.
It's something that they look at and see, okay, he's doing what we do. I've worked out there, I've done that, and I think it helps, show them what they need to be doing.
Well, yeah, and it's genuine respect, right? It's not respect because of who you are. It's respect because of what you've done and who you are.
Exactly.
So let me ask you a question about radio. How has internet radio changed the game of terrestrial radio? How has, going online and listening to it on a website changed the game with y'all's business?
So I'm going to kind of give you two different answers here. So as far as being able to stream, we have implemented that on our end to be able to capture an audience where, it's not a vehicular listening, but rather when people may be at work or people are at home. Obviously, people don't have big, Dolby Digital radios in their house anymore like they used to. They have Alexa, and we've implemented that as well.
That's cool.
But to have that as a alternative source of listening, it's helped us immensely. The one flaw of radio, and I've told you guys this before, is obviously beyond the statistical measure, which is kind of inaccurate anyway. We really don't know how many people, fine-tuned many people are listening at any given point. Now,
right.
We base our success. I base how well they work based on, are my clients getting results from it? Are people telling me they're hearing it? All that kind of stuff. The great thing about the internet and streaming and apps is that we can get a tangible number on how many people are, how many impressions are being made, how many people are accessing it at any given time, how many active concurrent listeners do we have at a specific time. So implementing it for us has been great. It helps immensely. All 7 of our stations have app stream capabilities, and it's great. Now, from a competition standpoint, because I know a lot, especially people my age and younger, the Spotify, the Pandora, stuff like that. I don't see it challenging us in this market as much as it may somewhere like New York City or Los
Yeah,
Angeles. You
high
got to remember
metro.
the dynamic of the market that we're in.
Yeah, metro, high metro. I can
Yeah.
imagine that would be you. I bet they're fighting tooth and nail in those areas.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure somewhere like Silicon Valley, but it's South Mississippi we live in, and so we don't see a challenge from it as much as a lot of people believe. Now, yeah, I get people listen to that. There's days I want to just hear a specific song. I won't lie to you. I'll go look up a specific song and listen to it if I want to hear one. But a lot of people grew up with Brian and Mama that live here and want to listen to them every morning. It's, not a lot of talk. It's just jibber jabber, having a good time, and then, listening to music. And that's something we've always really focused on here, is that people don't want to necessarily hear ads. They want to hear music.
Yeah.
And so just from the competition standpoint here, we don't see it competing as much as you may think. So in the future, it may change, but for now, we're making do.
Well, I think too, you being kind of y'all being a local business, and I think one of the competitive advantages that, and I know you might agree with this, is that your ability to make decisions fast and to be nimble, recognizing what needs to be done in a market with something changing, and you being able to, okay, all right, we're gonna do this, and this. What do we need to do to get it done? Let's get it done. That kind of thing. There's not a lot of red tape, I would imagine. Is that true for y'all's business?
Yeah, it is a giant perk of ours to be flexible with being able to make stuff happen quick. I don't have to call headquarters somewhere in Montana and wait for an answer. It's here. And that's one of the great components. Local business. It's something you guys focus on. It's something we very heavily focus on because we are purely local here. And, that's a message I deliver to my advertisers as well, is that, you're investing money with me, and that money is being reciprocated and reinvested into the South Mississippi market. I'm not taking your check and then mailing it to Atlanta or somewhere else where it'll never see Mississippi again.
Absolutely.
A big part of our focus is making sure that, we reinvest in South Mississippi.
Yeah, that's a huge selling point whenever I'm in front of a customer. The Coke facility down here, they basically report to Birmingham, right? That's where they're headquartered. They might have a facility in Gulfport and a facility in Ocean Springs, but those facilities are owned by a Birmingham company. So, I always tell people that, local is what's important. We can give you results through one phone call. You can get more done by just calling me and saying, hey, this is my problem. This is what I have going on. Can you help? I can give you an answer on that phone call.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to call you, wait and say, well, let me call such and such and see what he says. And, and he's got to call this boss and talk to him. And I'll let you know something by tomorrow. It's like, no, like if you say I'm in trouble, I need this, I can make something happen, whether it's what you want or I can get close. So I think that's a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
So Stephen, being fourth generation, does your granddad still come in? Is he still active? Is he still involved and giving you feedback? Is he a sounding board for you with decisions that you make? How's that working out?
Absolutely. Yeah. He doesn't come in as much as he did after COVID. He kind of changed. Now he does come back more now, but prior to COVID, he came in, he was here every morning.
Right.
And it was awesome. His success, he's got a giant portfolio in radio success and really business success. He's a smart businessman. And, being able to bounce an idea off him, something maybe he's done before or something he may just want to tell me straight up how it needs to be. It's great. It's great to have him as a resource.
He's not going to BS you.
Exactly.
He's not gonna yes man you and say, oh, that's a great idea, we should do this and this. That's having someone like that is a resource that is so indispensable when you're learning and you're managing and you're wanting to run a company. Like being able to bounce something off of somebody and seeing what they say with all the years of experience it's incredible. So
yeah, absolutely. He is a absolute straight shooter, probably the straightest shooter I ever met. He won't, juggle it with you. He'll just tell you straight up. And it's awesome because, obviously trying to evolve and stuff, you have to take chances. You got to take a little bit of risk here and there. His ability to judge risk before we actually jump into it is fantastic. He's very smart with what he does. And so he is still involved. Absolutely. He does not come out here every day, but he does, I would say, supervise from afar.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, man, because it's always nice to have somebody giving you honest feedback about what you're wanting to do.
Exactly.
So, y'all have a DJ that works for you guys named Jesse Page?
Yes, we do.
We just recently got an account, installed a new account in D'Iberville called Rockin' Chicken and Waffles, and I think that's her dad.
It is her dad. Her dad worked for us for a very long time, actually.
Yeah, Dave. He called us a couple weeks back saying that he needed some service and that he wasn't getting what he wanted, and so we recently just installed his account. So I need to make it over there and meet him and try his food. So
yeah, he's a brilliant guy. He worked as an engineer for us for my grandfather for a very long time, and I think his dad too. So
wow.
He was in the business with us for a very long time, and of course Jess is kind of carrying on the torch of what he did. She's still in the radio business. She's one of our DJs on Gorilla, our top 40 station.
Yep.
And so yes, I guess small world, huh?
Yeah, it is a small world, man. Morgan was talking with him, and we brought the connection back, and I figured that you would know the connection. So we're really excited to be doing business with him and look forward to helping him out. So he's so far, I think he's said that he enjoys the fact that he can get somebody on the phone and get something done.
Amen.
As you probably receive the same comments as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Stephen, what are some things that you can talk about that you would like to try to see in the next 5 years, or some trends that you're noticing with the way radio is going in the next 5 years that Coast can do to kind of stay ahead of the curve, if you don't mind me asking? I don't know how much you guys want to reveal. I guess it doesn't really matter as far as competition is concerned, but I'm interested to see what you think the landscape's going to be when it comes to the future of the next 5 years of radio.
Currently, we just implemented the HD stations, which, we've kind of had a heavy focus on. I'm trying to tiptoe a little bit,
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't want you to reveal anything that you have in the back of your head that would be like a game changer for you or a leg up in the market. I know how that is. So
I wouldn't necessarily say that. The technology has not like just grown so immensely that, it would be secretive or me strategizing,
Right.
I think that our biggest goal in the next 5 years is maybe to become more diverse with what we offer.
Got it.
Even potentially being beyond radio to be an opportunity to possibly do digital advertising or other means like that. We've kind of juggled doing some podcasts and stuff with the radio station, so that's been sort of an idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I know, right? You've built a very successful one here.
I'm working on it, Stephen. I wouldn't necessarily say it's successful, but I would say that I do enjoy doing it more than I thought I would.
Well, I've listened to some of the episodes and I think you do a great job. So take it for what it's worth.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But, continuing with that, I just think it's really obviously trying to make, radio. Some people think it's a dated, and in our market, I think it's so I deal with probably 100 different people that I work with, and I get such a great reaction to doing an advertising schedule with somebody and being able to go back and they're like, it really made a difference for me. I saw more people coming through the door. I saw my website hits picked up. My phone was ringing more. And so, being able to offer them something even beyond radio is definitely something that we're wanting to explore. But if it's something that we implement, I absolutely want to make sure that it's going to, just have ultra success. You don't want to implement something. If you do it, might as well do it right.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I think that there's always room for that. I think that would probably be a smart thing to do. And for the people who don't know about what stations that y'all carry locally, tell the listener a little bit about what stations you guys have at Coast, because they'd probably be surprised to know what stations y'all have.
Yeah, we got a slew of them. First and foremost, our big country powerhouse, Kicker108. That one has been around it was formerly Power 108 in the 80s. I know it's a long time ago, but we have the people that our morning show, Brian and Mama, you've heard me say their name a few times so far. They've been with us, one for 33 and one for 37 years, I think. So when it comes to, radio listenership, they probably on a local level have the biggest following of any station I know of in a market of our size.
Right.
Second to that, we've got Coast 102, which is just like an easy listening, classic hits, 70s, 80s, 90s, even though I'm kind of, just blown away that 90s are considered classics now.
Yeah, I know, for real, man. Just let's not talk about that.
I know, right? That one is one of ours that has very good success. The guy that has kind of built it up from the ground has been with us for 30 plus years. We've got Gorilla 95.3 Gorilla. I always get that backwards. Top 40 station, and it's been around for going on 10 years or so now. And then we've got a classic country station, Merle 100.1. We've got a very classic hit stations. These are the 50s and 60s, called Cruisin' 100.9.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, that one's also the flagship station for the Shuckers. So people that want to listen to it on the radio, that's where they do it. And then our newest ones, we've got I say classic rock. It's kind of a hybrid rock, some of classic, some of the newer stuff, called The Quake. And it is on Kicker is actually an HD station now. And I'm just going to explain this real quick because it's kind of confusing to people that don't know about it. So if you're driving a newer car, your radio should have HD implementation. And so when you're on 107.9, which is Kicker's dial, if you have an HD button pop up on the screen, you can click it and it has multiple stations on that one frequency.
Got it.
Behind Kicker, we have Quake, which is the hybrid rock. And then behind that, we have the Hype, which is like a throwback hip hops of the 90s and 2000s and
that's cool.
2010. So, yeah.
So did you hear recently, I was reading something where they were talking about possibly not putting AM stations in cars recently?
Yes, I have heard that. We've got some connects with people that, lobby and are in the legislature of all, I don't know, all that stuff go and lobby at the National Association of Broadcasters to be able to fight for stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think our market necessarily, I don't think would be hurt so much by the removal of AM, but I know in a lot of rural markets, AM is extremely still, even believe it or not, still extremely effective and needed in a lot of the stations outside of like a Biloxi Gulfport. If you look at something like somewhere in the Delta or something like that, AM is still very relevant. And
it's the power of the signal, right?
Right, exactly. The technology between AM and FM, AM has a higher daytime power than a nighttime power. Back in the day, before you and I were alive, maybe probably right when we were coming to, a lot, obviously AM stations were the thing back then. And so most stations would have like daytime talent on, and then at 7 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever, they would just shut off for the night and it would just be, dead silent until the next morning.
Right.
FM, gained the ability to have something 24 hours a day.
Yeah. That's where the old saying, this concludes our broadcast day.
Exactly.
Which, in my opinion, they should probably still do that on some things.
Yeah. I mean, some markets you live in are 24-hour markets. Obviously we don't have any overnight shows here, but New York, Los Angeles, stuff like that. People are up at every hour of the day. So, there's many markets that people have shows at 12 to 6 in the morning.
So I remember you saying over the last year and a half, your life's kind of changed pretty tremendously with having a child. So how do you feel being a father, and what was the one thing that you didn't expect when you became a dad?
Oh, I love being a father. It is soft side of me. It has just absolutely changed my life. And I've got a sweet little daughter. I've just absolutely changed completely. It's made me more mature. It's made me understand how much I could love something. Obviously I love my wife very much, different kind of love for my child. But it's been awesome. It's been an experience. And as far as, the one thing I was not expecting, I should have expected, and I did not, was the lack of sleep that I was going to endure.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. What's her name, Steven?
Her name is Birdie. Well, her real name is Bridget. We call her Birdie.
That's cute, man. That's awesome. How old is she now? I know it was within the last, what, 7, 8 months?
Yeah, she is. No, she's going on 5. She'll be 5 months next week.
Got it.
So she's really just coming on the aware stage. She
Yeah.
started to notice things. I see, she responds to her voice a little bit. I mean, to her name a little bit. So it's really cool to see them develop like that.
Well, my sister had a son 2 months before Birdie
Right.
was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be probably running in the same crowd.
They probably will.
One of the things I'll tell you, man, and it's I have 2 girls as well. They're going to be 8 and 6, but I didn't expect I was going to have to fill up so many different water cups, man. I'm going to be honest. No one told me that you're going to be filling up 2 to 3 water cups a day for like 7, 8 years.
Really?
Yeah, just you won't realize it until you're doing it, and you're like, yeah. But I mean, it's just my 7-year-old is kind of getting more self-sufficient now. But the 5-year-old still lazy and wants us to do everything for her. So I'm like a short order cook at my house, man. So
I believe that.
like working in a deli.
I get it.
But that's great, man. I'm glad that you're going through the sleepless nights. You're going through all the ups and downs and learning what life's all about. So it kind of makes all of your other problems once you have a child, all your other problems kind of seem a bit minuscule, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
work was one of those problems for a little bit of time. And, obviously we had made the transition to me in management, and I was hiring 2 new girls about the same time she was born. So I guess I just wanted to stack it up and do it all at one time. And I regret it now just because it was so much work. But everything else became a little minuscule once I got little Birdie.
yes, Stephen, damn man, you'll look back on it and you'll be like, it wasn't that big a deal.
Oh yeah.
You'll think that I don't even really remember. I remember when my first daughter was born, I was working on a route truck, and I don't even remember. I was a supervisor over guys, training guys on routes. And, I was getting up at, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't even really remember it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. In the day, it's really sometimes slow, but in retrospect, it's extremely fast. I'm sure you know that now, having 2 children that are.
Oh yeah. The days are long, but the years are short.
Exactly.
Is there anything that you guys have coming up as at Coast over the next, latter half of the year that you think you'd like to try to make an announcement on, or at least kind of shed some light on for anybody who's interested in doing any advertising with you guys?
Oh, well, look, you can advertise anytime. There's no not great time to advertise. The great part of the local stuff is that, we're just like a lot of business owners that may listen to this or may, work with you, stuff like that. We want you to succeed. I'm not just going out and collecting a check from somebody to put in, the bank account and hope it works. I'm really getting down to the nitty gritty with people I work with to make sure that we implement plans for success. I lose sleep at night if my clients aren't getting what they need, especially if they're spending their hard-earned dollars. As far as events coming up, we have stuff that just pops up here and there. We don't really necessarily have anything big
Scheduled.
Yeah, we do big promotions and stuff like that, but anybody that is interested in exploring radio and the capabilities of what we can offer, I'd be more than happy to help with anything.
Well, I can say that you do have a local touch to what you guys do. You're always willing to work with us when we have requests on things. We don't ever have any complaints or any pushback. Even if it's outlandish and wild, you normally are wanting to kind of appease the customer, like you said. I can attest to that if anybody would like to do business with you guys. But if you were to have 3 quick tips for any business owners out there of what to do when working with radio advertising, what would be like your top 3 things to look for, or to see if you even need it? What would that be?
First and foremost is, if you're doing radio, you got to have a good commercial. It doesn't matter if you're spending $500 or $5,000 or $50,000. If you're running bad commercial, bad creative, you're wasting your money. So
that's a good one.
whoever you're working with, whatever rep it is, make sure that they bring you something good. You look back in retrospect at all the great marketing campaigns over the years, TV, radio, whatever. The stuff that sticks with you, people are frequent and consistent. So that's kind of my second one. If you do radio, don't shoot low for it. Invest into it, get a good schedule. Don't think that, Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a little bit of time to get results, especially if you're a high expector like I am. So if you're going to do it right. Set up a good plan, spend some money, put some money into it, and it will reciprocate. For a third one, I would say, just because I'm biased, just call me and I'll take care of all of it for you.
Well, I think that's some good advice, man. I think the creative is especially true. You don't want to waste your money, your hard-earned money, on trying to advertise when the creative is horrible.
Absolutely.
And I think too that being local, like you said, you live in the same community, and you have to look at these business owners in the eye, and you have to tell them that I live around the corner. I live in your neighborhood. I shop at the same grocery store you do.
Exactly.
I'm not going to sell you something just to make money. I'm gonna try to be your partner, and I want you to succeed, because when you succeed, I succeed. And now we're talking about business partnership. So
exactly.
I think that's a good mindset, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
So, Stephen, if someone wanted to advertise with you guys over at Coast Radio Group, where would they need to go to reach you guys?
Super simple. You could it's coastradiogroup.com. You can click advertise up at the top, and it's just, a little form you can fill out with some details about if you're kind of planning on something specific to fill out information, or if you just want general information, you don't have to fill out anything at all. Just your name and your contact info, and we'll have somebody reach out to you and make it happen.
That sounds great, Stephen. Well, thank you so much for the time we spent talking about all things radio and local and the business side of things, and kind of the tandems of working in a family-owned business and being third and fourth generation. So thanks, Stephen, for your time, and I hope to see you soon, man.
Absolutely, Andrew. Thanks for having me on.
It was great to talk with Stephen Stiglets and hear his unique insights into the world of terrestrial radio, the vital role local radio stations can have on a community, and how the Coast Radio Group is growing and adapting on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. On a personal note, I love talking with others in generational family businesses and hearing about the advantages and the challenges that are similar to my experience at Allen Beverages. If you're interested in advertising with Kicker108 or any other station under the Coast Radio Group umbrella, be sure to reach out to them directly. As you heard, Stephen is all about growing our local business community, and he and his company are committed to providing great music and entertainment and being a trusted partner in your business's marketing success. Until next time, remember to support and listen to local businesses. Thanks for listening to the Bottled Up Podcast. Want us to deliver this show into your email inbox as they drop? Want to tell us about how you like the show? Or you want to tell us about a Gulf Coast restaurant or bar you would like us to spotlight in upcoming episodes? Email Morgan at mwheeler, WHEELER, at abevinc.com. That's ABEVINC.com. Want to know more about Allen Beverages and how we work with our clients, partners, and vendors? Check out allenbeverages.com. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn and Deep Fried Studios.